What's up, guys? What's up? What's up? We are live. What's up, Growl? What's up, guys? We are live. This is the Blender Mania 3D live stream. What's up, everyone? Welcome, welcome. Again, this is a live Blender Q&A and tutorial. If you have any questions, yo, what's up, Easy Blessed? If you have any questions regarding anything in Blender, you could ask it tonight and we will do a live tutorial. By the way, guys, you could feel free to join in the Zoom. Again, you don't have to talk or show your face or anything, but you'll be able to see much better as opposed to being on Instagram. What's up, guys? Where's everyone coming in from? Hopefully everyone's been doing some Blender. Again, this is a live Blender Q&A and tutorial. So if you have any questions regarding anything in Blender, you could ask it and I will answer it live. And then we will get into a live tutorial. What's up, guys? How's everyone doing? Ayo, let's go. Creating magnet real physics in Blender. Magnet real physics. Let me think on that quickly. I'm trying to think of the best way to go about it. That's an interesting one, actually. Just made $50 yesterday from Blender. Ha. Dude, that's awesome. Congrats. Hyde Studio says, hey. Golf Man, I'm trying to think how I would go about creating a magnet type thing. I think I would do, yeah, I think I would do maybe some geometry nodes. Let me give that one a little bit of thought. Whoa, how, bro? Golf Man says. Yeah, let me give that one a little bit of thought, Golf. And that's an interesting one. That's the first time I'm kind of trying to think how I would go about it. Julian says, hi. What's up, Julian? So Golf is asking for making a magnet real physics in Blender. Yeah, we could definitely do that. Let me see the best way that I would go about it, maybe with some geometry nodes. Again, guys, if you have any questions in Blender, feel free to ask it. So, and again, guys, you could join in the Zoom link. Do you have any advice for tips for very fresh beginners? Yeah, man. If you're just starting out, like I said, if you're absolutely just starting out, I recommend to make some things with some default shapes. So for example, just add a cone right here. I could just add a cone. So let me rotate this 90 degrees right here on the, let me rotate X 180. There we go. So I could just add a cone right here and then 2 UV spheres. And like I said, I say this every time someone asks if you're just starting Blender. You can make some really default basic shapes like this. As you can see, I now have an ice cream. Again, this is if you're brand new to Blender. Because the issue is brand new people in Blender, they go and they try to make like a full animated scene and they get overwhelmed. So I suggest just making some very basic shapes with some default meshes. For example, you could make a simple city. And again, it might sound basic, and that's because it is. Again, you don't want to go too crazy when you're first starting. In the Ant Landscape add-on, how do you add materials so that the mountains are one color and the ocean is another? Hyde Studio says. That could be a nice idea to use geometry nodes anyway, better than actual physics. Yeah, man, I'm gonna think for a second more, and then we'll see what we could whip up. Let me know if that helps you living under a bridge, and let me know exactly where you are with Blender. Like if you've already added default shapes and meshes, or if you're a little bit more advanced than that, or if you literally just downloaded it. Hyde is asking how to add materials to the Ant Landscape add-on to the water and the mountain. They're just meshes, my friend, so you could add it as you would any mesh. So here, if I enable the Ant Landscape add-on, so right here, let me get it. So if I enable the Ant Landscape add-on right here, 5 hours later, And if I add it, and over here, if I add the water plane, you can see that these are just meshes, just like anything else. So if you go to your materials, you could add a new material and just add it like so, as you can see right there. If I go to material preview. So you would just add it like any other material, my friend. I live your content. I'm assuming I love your content. Thank you, Ethan. Appreciate it, my friend. Appreciate it. But yeah, let me know if that answers your question, Hyde. So I would just do it that way. All right, guys, what's up? We are doing a live Blender Q&A and tutorial. Solid says, hey, Alex, would you consider making a course on rendering that goes over all the settings and using render layers? I bought your GeoNodes course. I like how in-depth you go into everything. Thank you, brother. So he's asking if I make a course on rendering that goes over all settings and using render layers. Yeah, that could be a course. On the new course that I came out with, the animated AI short, I do go over render layers. Well, not too much render layers, but more like how to render out an EXR. Well, yeah, no. I go over render layers, rendering out an EXR, and using those render layers in compositing after you've already rendered an EXR and stuff. So I do go in depth pretty well in the AI animated short on render layers and in depth on that. But hey, I could always go more in depth, and that's a good idea. Thanks for that question, man. What's up, Mr. Snow? Hyde Studio says thanks. Anytime, man. All right. Does anyone have any questions regarding anything? And don't worry, Golf Man. I'm still kind of processing your thing. Again, guys, we do this live every single weeknight. So if anyone has any questions, okay, well, Hyde. So, I mean, Golf Man, I'm going to answer your question right now because, again, I was blanking out for a second on the magnet thing, but there's a simple way. I don't even know why I wasn't thinking about it. I was thinking of like geometry nodes and everything. So, Golf Man had asked creating magnets in real physics in Blender. So, he wants to create like a magnet simulation. Very easy. We have some force fields, and there's actually a force field that's called magnet, but we could do it easily with force fields, which I'm going to show right now. By the way, guys, once again, if you want to join in the Zoom, let me post it on YouTube as well. You could join in the Zoom. You don't have to talk. You don't have to show your face, but you'll be able to see it in full screen. All right. Let's see. And then Julian, I see your question there. I'll get it in a second. So Golf Man was asking a magnet kind of simulation with real physics. So that's very easy, my friend. For example, here, if I add a cube, I could just add a physics to this cube. So I'm going to add a rigid body physics to the cube. So now the cube basically just falls. And then let me move it to the side. If I hit Shift A, you can see that here under force field, we have a bunch of different force fields. And we actually have one that's called charge right here. Now, I've actually never used this force field personally, but you could literally use any force field here to create a kind of magnet physics simulation. So for example, here under force field, if we add a force right here, you could see that on the force field settings, we have a strength. And right now the strength is set to 1. Now the cube is falling right here. So what I'm going to do is in the scene properties, we have a scene properties. We could go ahead and turn the gravity off so that there's no more gravity. And now you can see that it's slowly being pushed away by this force field. Let me increase the strength to 5. And now you can see what happens. And if we want to create a magnet type effect, we could put the strength to -5 or -10. And now the cube will be drawn to the force field like a magnet, as you can see right there. Now, right now, it's kind of going past the force field. So we could increase the flow right here on the force field. And the flow is basically how much it's going to have to constrain to the force field. Now, right here, we need to increase the strength and make it even more negative. But you can see that now we have this kind of effect right here where basically the cube is being magnetized to the center force field. But doesn't it work only for particles? No, it works for any object. So this cube right here is not a particle. It works for any object that you make rigid body. So, for example, here, if I add a Suzanne, I could add a Suzanne. If I make Suzanne rigid body, you can see that it works for Suzanne as well, as you can see right there. So basically, again, any object that is, if you go to the physics tab, just make it a rigid body. And yes, it will work for particles as well. Now, on the force fields, you can see when I hit Shift A, there is actually a force field that's called charge, which I believe does exactly that. I've never used this one actually because I usually use the force field. But let's see what this one does. Yeah, you can see that here. Yeah, it basically acts as a magnet. Right here, if I put the charge strength up, you can see it basically acts as a magnet. Again, it does the same exact thing as the force field set to a negative number. This one might have other settings. From what I see, it has the same settings and does the same stuff as the force. A lot of these force fields do the same thing. You could even use a wind force field and put this to a negative number, and it will kind of, well, actually, this one will shoot it down. But yeah, there you go. Anytime, Golfman. Golfman. I thought it was Golfman. Golfman. All right. Anytime, brother. And good question. All right. Julian on Zoom is asking. Oh, man, you guys are just chatting on the Zoom. I have no idea. I'm not sure what your question was, Julian, because there's so much chat, but I think Growl might have helped you. So that's awesome. Julian asks here, any recommendations on quicker bakes for cloth physics? They take a while for me. I would just say tweak the settings, put the settings to the lowest resolution for what you want. Like obviously, because at a certain point, you don't need more detail or resolution in your cloth simulation. It's just like a subdivision surface modifier. If you're putting your subdivision surface modifier above 3, your mesh probably doesn't have enough vertices to begin with. You usually very rarely put it above a level of 3. So let me turn off these the captions are on Zoom, I guess. So yeah, and then as Growl said, upgrading your computer could definitely help. That's a nice tip. Thanks. Anytime. I've used Blender like twice. Essentially, I have no experience whatsoever. Do you have any recommendations to learn the basics? For example, any content creators or such? Yeah, I have quite a bit of courses that go over the basics. If you want something free, you could just go to YouTube, and Andrew has a great donut tutorial. As far as learning the basics, yeah, I would just put in, learning the basics of Blender in YouTube. I'm sure there's a lot of great free tutorials on there. And because once you have the basics, you're able to jump to more advanced stuff pretty fast because a lot of the tutorials, even the more advanced stuff, 90 or like 80% of it is still the basic stuff that you learn. So using geometry nodes to create a dummy buildings. What do you mean, Ab? You want to use geometry nodes to create a bunch of buildings? Is that what you're asking? So living under a bridge, hopefully that helps you. Again, I would just, if you want something that's all there, I have some awesome courses that go from A to Z, from not knowing anything to knowing fully Blender. If you want some free stuff on YouTube, again, you could watch Blender Guru's donut tutorial. That's a great one. There's some beginner stuff there. I got to create, what I plan to do here in the near future is create a beginner series that will be free that I'll just put for anyone who wants to learn like the basics of Blender. Yeah, like a view from a terrace. Using geometry nodes to create buildings like a view from a terrace. Sure, let's do that quickly. So Ab's question is using geometry nodes to create buildings and then to kind of make a view from a terrace. I guess we could do that quickly. Thank you for your help. Where can I find your course? You can find the course on udemy.com. I should have all the links ready, honestly. Udemy.com. Let me type it in here. If you search my name, however, if you go to blendermania3d.com, you could send me a message to get a coupon. Hold on, I'm typing it out for you. And then I'm going to do this, what Ab was asking. So yeah, on udemy.com, if you search Alex Cordobar, you'll find all my courses. But if you want a coupon for any of the courses, go to blendermania3d.com and just shoot me a private message and I'll send you a coupon for any of the courses. All right, so let's get into this. Ab is asking how to make a city with or buildings with geometry nodes and kind of like a terrace view or a balcony. So let's do this quickly, guys. Or, well, not necessarily quickly, but let's do this. So once again, guys, if you want to kind of follow along, join the Zoom link. And again, living under a bridge. If you're having issues, just send me a message on Instagram or on blendermania3.com, which is better as I'm on there 24/7. All right, guys, we're going to create a little simple city with geometry nodes and a terrace view. So let's get right to it. We're going to use some AI in this, guys. So let's rock and roll. Again, I'm going to keep it kind of simple. So right here for our building with the cube selected, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to scale this up a little bit. SZ, scale it up, and then GZ and bring it up in edit mode like so. Then to give it a little bit more interesting look, okay, thank you very much. Living Under a Bridge says, anytime, brother. So right here, I'm going to select this edge, Control B to bevel it, and just to give the building a little bit of a more interesting shape, like so. All right, so now, guys, we are going to, and actually, this is kind of something similar that we do in the brand new scenes course that I launched, but we're going to be using some AI-generated textures here to get the textures for our building, which is going to be super cool. So let me stop the share right here. Anonymous attendee, hi, I've been searching for a VFX course. Would you have one or any recommendations? I don't have a VFX course. I don't have any recommendations because I don't really know of any. I'm sure there are some, but video game creators, lighting, fire explosions, and that sort of things. I don't have that yet, but my next course is going to be a simulations course, so look out for that. All right, guys, let's get our AI textures. So, guys, if you want an awesome website that's free for AI texture generation, go to poly.cam. So poly.cam. All right, and then once you're here, we're going to go to free tools and click on AI texture generator right here. And here you could generate AI textures. It will give you the roughness, the normal map, and the color map. I think it gives you some other maps, but I forget. So right here, you can see we have the texture resolution. Once again, guys, if you can't see the full screen, go to Zoom and join Zoom. Thanks. I saw the AI course, but not my thing. It's all good, solid, all good. I may do a, rendering and stuff, and trust me, the AI course is like 90% Blender. It's not like we do everything with AI. All right, so as I'm talking about AI texture generation, what is the name of the texture site again? It is called poly.cam. So poly.cam. Let me type it in here. Poly.cam. Let me type it in YouTube as well and Zoom. So poly.cam. Let me type it in Zoom. Poly.cam. It's poly.cam. It's an awesome site. With this site, you could do, what's it called? 3D scanning. As you can see here in the AI course, we 3D scan some books. So as you can see right here, I have some 3D scanned books because they also have a 3D scanning app that you could have for your phone. As you can see right here, once this thing loads, there we go. So we have a 3D scanned book. You can see this is some amazing detail here, minus the chair or table that's underneath it. But what we're going to do is go to free tools and select AI texture generator. All right. So then I'm just going to type in, let's see, building texture during nighttime. Oh, no, I'm going to type in skyscraper windows texture. Well, I don't even need to type in texture because it's texture generator. Skyscraper windows at nighttime with neon lights. I'll just type that in and I'm going to click on generate. This is going to generate 4 different versions. So you can see which one you kind of like the best. And you can see here, we got some awesome results right here. I could zoom in as well. So I'm just going to download whatever. This one's kind of cool. This looks like some kind of future dystopia thing. That one just looks weird. This one looks good as well. I kind of like this last one because the first one has way too many neon lights. Who knows? There's like a party going on every floor. This one's pretty cool too. I'm just going to go with this one. And then I'm going to click on download right here. You can download whichever one if you're following along. All right, let me quickly extract that. So let me extract it and let me go back to Blender. All right. So now let me stop that share. Guys, I'm just showing how to make a city with geometry nodes quickly. And again, I'm not going to get too in-depth in it because I don't want to spend too much time on any one question. But here, back in Blender, let's go to the shader editor. And here, we're going to, with Node Wrangler enabled, by the way, guys, Node Wrangler, obviously you want it enabled. Go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, Enable Node Wrangler. Gutam says, sir, when I model anything and subdivision it, after that, my PC start lagging. I'll take a look at that in a second here once I'm done with this quick tutorial, my friend. So right here, I'm going to hit Control, Shift, and T. Control, Shift, and T allows for you to add a principled texture setup. So right here, I'm going to get my skyscraper windows. I'm going to get the albedo, normal, and roughness. And I'm going to load that in. And now you can see that we have our building. Now it's way too big, as you can see. So on the mapping node, by the way, guys, once again, let me know. Solid says, haha, yeah, the irony. It is pretty ironic, man. Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? All right. If I'm going too fast or if someone misses something, let me know. I'm still getting used to the pace of the live streams. It's a little bit different than when I do tutorials or courses. So right here on the scale of the mapping node, I'm just going to left click and drag down and change this to like 5 so that now you can see we have this building here. All right. Very cool. Then I'm just going to add a new material for the roof part, because obviously the roof, I don't want there to be a bunch of windows. And I'm just going to assign it to this new material, and I'm just going to leave it gray. So now we have a single building. Of course, for the city, you would want to download multiple of these textures and have many different buildings with many different textures on them, because otherwise it's going to look very uniform. I'm not going to do that here, but if you're doing this, obviously download more textures, change them up. All right, next, to use geometry nodes to create a quick city with this. Let's move this to the side right here. By the way, guys, once again, I'm showing how to make a city using geometry nodes. And I'm going to keep it simple here. I'm not going to get too complex on the geometry nodes. Let's add a new object. I'm just going to add a plane. It doesn't really matter what you add. And let's go to the geometry node editor here. And we're going to click on new to add a new geometry nodes. Does anyone have questions on what's happened so far, by the way? Just let me know. By the way, guys, again, if you have any questions or you want to message me directly after, or if you want to share your work or you need help, BlenderMania3D.com is the official site for the community. So BlenderMania3D.com. I'm on there 24/7. We have a live chat, we have a forum, etc. That is the place to be. What's up, H? What's up, Mouthpiece? What's up, Phil? And Gutam. And again, guys, join in the Zoom. That's where everyone is at. All right, so once you have your geometry nodes, we're going to hit Shift-A. First thing we want to do is we want to create basically points where this object is going to be, or this building. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this plane with a grid. And I'm going to drop that in. So I'm going to add a grid. Now, you might wonder, what the heck is the point of that? Because it's a plane. But with this grid, we could procedurally change this. So as you can see, we could change the size of it very easily. And we could also change how many vertices it has very easily. And these vertices is where the buildings are going to be. So the more I increase these vertices, the more buildings we will have. Pretty cool. So I'm just going to leave this to 3 for now. And now what we want to do is we simply want to add buildings on each of these vertices. So I'm going to get an instance on points and drop this after. Once again, an instance is basically a duplicate of an object, and a point is, there are points, but also a point is the same thing as a vertex. So right here, it's going to add a duplicate of our object on every vertex. For the instance, we're going to drag out an object info, and we are going to get our building, which is called cube. And now you can see that we have a bunch of buildings right here. Now they're way too big, or our plane is too small. So right here on the size X and Y, we could increase this on our grid. And now we have a bunch of buildings. You could also change the scale right here on the instance on points to change the scale. In fact, I want to vary the height of these buildings. So out of the scale, I'm going to get a random value node. And then with this random value, I don't want the minimum to be 0. Otherwise, we're going to have some squished buildings. So I'm going to left click and drag down on this minimum. And I'm going to bring it up a little bit. And then I could bring this up a little bit on the max as well. And now you can see that we have variation in our buildings. And then I could just change the grid size. I could increase the grid size, and I could increase the vertices on the grid. So now I have a whole cityscape. And you can see how this really starts to come together, especially if you have different textures, because everything right now looks way too uniform. And then, for example, like he said, he wanted to have a terrace. So basically, if you want to add a terrace, you could then go in here and let's add a cube. Again, I'm going to make a really terrible, very fast terrace, guys. This is going to be super fast. I'm just showing you the principles of it, but of course you could spend more time. So right here, let's say I add it to this building. So here I could add like a balcony or terrace, and I could kind of align it to where the texture would be right here, and move it over, scale it up. And then right here, if I wanted to add like railing to the terrace, I could do that and extrude it up. That's a little bit thick for the railing. Let me bring it over. You know, I could do that. And then I could position myself right here and hit Control-Alt numpad 0 to put the camera right here. I could then change the camera focal length to 35. And now we have a camera or a perspective from a terrace that's overlooking a cityscape. Now, of course, like I said, I did this in a couple of minutes. Obviously, I would spend, a couple of hours working on this and making it more detailed. But that's the principles and basics of it. And then we could increase the size right here, make it even bigger, the city. We could increase the vertices if we want. So we have even more buildings, as you can see right there. And now we have a geometry node kind of scene with a cityscape. That's a good idea. Yeah. But again, this was done very fast. Like I said, I would add different textures for different buildings. Obviously, I would detail it more. Everything is very blocky and terrible looking. But that's the basics of it, of creating a cityscape with geometry nodes. By the way, if anyone wants this file, I'm going to post it on BlenderMania3D.com in the public chat. So if you want the file, it's going to be there. I'm going to post it right now because I know some people like to look at the files after. So I'm just going to name it city, save it. And yeah, got the idea. Thanks. Anytime, man. How would you add other textures? So for other textures, good question. So I'm going to go back to the website. You're not going to see it because it's not on the Zoom, but I'm going to go back to the website and I'm going to download another texture. So let me just download another one. So I'm downloading another texture and let me go ahead and extract it. Extract. Let me see. There we go. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Okay, hold on, because it has the same exact file name, so I have to rename it. Hold on. All right. So someone's asking how to add other textures to it. I'm going to show you quickly. So right here, I just downloaded another texture. All I'm going to do is I could select my original building. So right here. And I'm just going to hit Shift D and duplicate it. And maybe on this building, I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger here. Maybe I extrude the roof up a little bit and scale it down and extrude it like that. I'm making the building a little bit different. Now it looks like a bottle. It's a, it's a bottle. I'm going to re-unwrap it right here. And let me actually smart UV project it right there. And all I'm going to do, my friend, is I'm going to go to the shader editor. I'm going to delete on this material with this texture. I'm just going to remove this one. I'm going to add a new one. And I'm just going to hit Control-Shift-T and I'm going to load in the other texture. Whoops, that's the same one. Right here, albedo, normal, roughness. Load those in. 5 hours later. Well, I have to also assign it. So let me assign it to this material right here. There we go. And let me assign this one. There we go. You could also just make it a single user. Basically, you're just adding a new material with a new texture on the building. Is it possible to change the multiple textures at the same time? I'm not sure what you mean by that. By the way, I checked your YouTube channel. I thought you were a new Blender guy, but you're like an OG. Yeah, man, I've been doing Blender for 15 years now. So how would you add? I mean, aren't the blocks linked? Yeah, if the blocks are linked, you could just go ahead and click on the 2 right here. You see the 2? This makes it a single user. So then they will be unlinked. And then to add it to the geometry nodes, because now it's no longer a single object. So you want to use a different node to add it to the geometry node. What you want to do is once you make all your buildings, you want to select them all, hit the M key, and move it to a new collection. And I'm just going to name it buildings right here. And then on your geometry nodes, instead of an object info right here, you want to delete that. And we're going to add a collection info. And in the collection info, we select the collection buildings. You also want to select separate children and reset children right here. Now you can see that my camera is inside a building, so I kind of need to move. But now you can see that we have the two different buildings, as you can see right there. Now, one thing, if you do collection info, you need to select pick instances. Otherwise, all of your objects are going to be on top of one another. So make sure to select pick instances, and this will make it so that there's only one object or building per vertex. Otherwise, as you can see, everything's on top of each other. And there you go. We now have a bunch of different buildings. Living Under a Bridge says, I'm curious, what was the hardest thing for you to learn or overcome throughout your Blender journey? That's a good question, man. So the question is, what was the hardest thing for you to learn or overcome throughout your Blender journey? I'll be honest with you. The thing was thinking that nodes were hard to learn. All right. I did not learn nodes for the first like 12 years or 13 years of doing Blender because I thought they were hard to learn and they were hard to understand. So I never really used, I used like basic node setups, but I never really dived into it and learned them because I thought they were hard to learn. So thinking that nodes, geometry nodes, shader nodes, compositing nodes were hard to learn. Since then, I've learned every single one, and trust me, you can learn it. It is easy to learn, and it's not as daunting as it might look. It's actually quite simple. So yeah, that's a great question. But yeah, that to overcome that mindset of thinking geometry nodes was hard to learn. I think also back then, there wasn't that much to learn from. There was just like the Blender documentation, which was not the best either. Happy birthday, Veteran Ninja says. Thank you, brother. It's not my birthday, but hey, I appreciate it. But yeah, guys, nodes are much easier to learn than you think. Sir, when I model anything, subdivision it after my PC start lagging. Yeah, man, I'm not sure. What are your PC specs? If you want to put your PC specs, Gautam, in the Zoom chat, maybe Growl has some input on it because he knows computers more than me. Does anyone have any other questions regarding this scene? If I went too fast over something, or if someone has another question, because that question of adding additional buildings or textures was a good one. And again, my friend, yes, the materials will be linked, but to unlink a material, you just click on the 2 right here, or whatever number is there, and it will unlink it. Whenever I add a texture to a mesh and change the height of that mesh, the print of the texture also gets changed. Whenever I add a texture to a mesh and change the height of that mesh, the print of the texture also gets changed. Yeah, so you're going to need to re-unwrap it. So for example, right here, if I get this building and if I hit G and Z and move it, are you talking about like right here, it's getting stretched basically? All you need to do is select everything again in edit mode and hit U and either unwrap or U Smart UV project and re-unwrap it. So just re-unwrap it, my friend. So U, and usually Smart UV project is great, especially for simple models. So just click U, Smart UV project in edit mode, and it will reset it. I'm sure everyone experiences burnout or lose some motivation. Have you been there before? And if so, what do you do to overcome this? I've actually honestly not really had any burnout too much. I did when I was doing the geometry nodes course. Guys, the geometry nodes course is like 55 plus hours long. I spent 6 months on it. And I thought I would be done at a certain time, and it took me like a whole extra month more to get everything done. And I mean, I was at the end of the course of recording it for like 2 whole weeks. And at one point, I was just like, I was at the very end recording. Guys, I go over 250 plus nodes in depth in that course, geometry nodes. And so The reason, my friend, was because I had finished recording it, and then the new version of Blender came out, and it came out with the geometry nodes hairs and a bunch of other geometry nodes. So I had to spend another like 2 or 3 weeks or whatever it was to add those additional videos for the new nodes that came out. And I thought I was done, and I'm like, crap. So it wasn't really burnout. It was more like I thought I was done, and then all of a sudden I had to do another like 2+ weeks of recording because they added a bunch of nodes, and I wasn't going to launch it without adding those additional nodes. I wanted everything to be there. So yeah, I was like, dang. So it wasn't really burnout. It was more like a little bit of frustration, a little bit, but not too much. I was just like, man, I thought I was done with the course, and I was like done with it. I'm like, dang, I have to look at some more geometry nodes. And I was geometry noded out, if that's a thing at that point, because I was doing geometry nodes for 6 months, like 10 hours a day. And yeah, it was yeah. But hey, the course came out great. That's one of my favorite courses. I put so much value into that thing, and it's awesome. Whatever you have learned till date, do you have any courses in this field from which we can also learn? Yeah, man, I have over 12 courses. I have courses on geometry nodes. It goes over literally every single geometry node in depth, what every function does, how to use it, and we create some awesome scenes. I have courses on shader nodes. I have courses on animation. I have courses on basically everything at this point. But yeah, if I got to add a link to my Instagram, but if you go to udemy.com, I'm going to post it again. If you go to udemy.com and just search for my name, Alex Cordabard, you'll find all my courses there. And again, guys, if the course says like $80 or something, just send me a message on blendermania3d.com. I'll send you a coupon so that you get it at the best price for wherever you're at. So, and again, if you send me a message after on blendermania3.com, I'll send you the link directly to my courses and also a coupon for whatever you want. All right. Does anyone have any questions regarding anything in Blender? I'm going to take maybe one more question, and then we'll get to the live tutorial. The live tutorial, guys, is going to be creating a low poly fire. It's going to be pretty sweet. It's going to be fun and simple. Happy birthday. Again, I'm not sure whose birthday, but I appreciate it. But yeah, guys, the courses are awesome. I spend a lot of time in the course on doing the courses, and there's a lot of value in there. So if you enjoy the lives or the shorts, you'll enjoy the courses much more because it's much more in depth. I go slower, and yeah, it's in depth. Like I said, I go over every single option of every single geometry node and everything. And it's not just technical, guys. We use it in a practical way. All right, let me post this. I'm going to post this .blend on blendermania3.com, guys, on the public chat. If anyone wants to download it and look at it, and then I'll get to the next question, and then we'll get to the live tutorial, and then we'll end off. Once again, guys, we do this every single weeknight. Every weeknight we have a live. All right. Does anyone have any questions regarding anything? Going once, going twice. Where should we learn about shading nodes? Dude, I have a course that goes over every single shader node and every single compositing node as well. So if you want an awesome course, Growl is actually doing that course. He's loving it. I'm from India, and your $80 is high in our country, so it's difficult to buy, and I am a student, so I can't buy right now. No, that's what I said, my friend. I will get you a coupon so you could get it for $10 US, which I'm not sure what that is in rupees. But yeah, like I said, don't pay the $80. I will get you a coupon so you could have it for $9.99 US, which again is 1/8 of what you just said. Don't buy it for the $80. I will get you a coupon, or anyone else who wants, for $9.99. All right. So my friend, you could check what is $10, $10 US equal to your currency, and see if that works for you. And if that does, just send me a message on Instagram or blendermania3.com. Blendermania3.com is better. Just send me a message there, and I will get you a coupon for it. I had forgot to ask earlier when you first when you first began learning Blender, was it independent, and how did you learn? What sources did you use for help? Yeah, man. So for learning Blender, I am like 90% self-taught, but I did watch a couple tutorials in the beginning. One of the first people I watched was actually Blender Guru or Andrew Price. I did some of his tutorials. Back then, there wasn't that many tutorials. Yeah, that's what I'm saying is that Banu, don't look for $80, look for $10. So $10 to rupees and see what that would be. Because again, I would get you a coupon to have it for $10, not $80. How to render it in video format. Okay. Realme. Realme is asking how to render it in video format. So Realme, you have a bunch of rendered images and you're wondering how to render it in video format, or you don't even have images? You're just wondering how to render in video format. I'm going to answer this question, guys, which is a great question, actually. 10 equals 832. Yeah, so if that works for you, my friend, just send me a message on blendermania3.com after, and I'll get you a coupon. Actually, I already have a coupon for it because someone yesterday had asked me for it and I created it. So let me see quickly and then let me get to this question. Hold on, crap. Geometry nodes. My friend, if you put in, where is it? Where is it? My friend, if you put in the coupon live coupon 1, you could get it for $9.99. Again, get it if it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine. You could watch the lives, whichever. I'm happy to help you. But live coupon 1, yeah, it's enough for me. I will buy. Yep. Put in that coupon, my friend. Live coupon 1. I just put it in the chat. So again, LIVE coupon and the number 1, and you will get it for $9.99. That's for the geometry nodes course, by the way. That's not for any other one. All right. So Realme. For beginners, I highly recommend tutorial. It covers the basics of many things. Awesome, awesome, H. Feel free to share it on the site as well. How to render it in video format. All right. Anytime is that, Banu. By the way, my friend, as you're doing the course, anytime you need help, feel free to ask me. You could post in the Q&A or message me. I will help you with anything. All right, guys, I'm going to quickly show how to render something out as a video. This is something that a lot of people get wrong, especially if you're brand new. If you've already rendered out stuff, you probably already know. But if you're brand new, this is something that a lot of people get wrong, including me. I did this wrong maybe for like a couple years. So someone is asking how to render out stuff, how to render in video formats. So guys, here I'm going to create the most amazing animation you've ever seen with the default cube. All right, let me put it there. Location. And it's going to go to over here, location. And there we go. We have our awesome animation. Hi, what's up, Obit? Man, you're everywhere, brother. Weren't you just on Instagram? What's up, brother? I see people are joining in the Zoom. Awesome. Guys, again, the Zoom is where it's at. Thank you, sir, as that boot says. Anytime, brother. Boa noite. What's up, brother? Is that Italian, by the way? All right, so guys, once you have your animation right here, again, guys on Instagram, you're not going to see what I'm doing, so go to the Zoom link, or at least go on YouTube where you could see it in full screen. I'm streaming live on YouTube as well, Blender Mania on YouTube. But join the Zoom. That's where everyone is. So here, once you've rendered it out, to render it out as a video, again, I'm showing how to render it out as a video. First thing, in the output properties, you have your resolution. So right now it's 1920 by 1080. And then you have your frames. So right now it's going from frame 1 to 250. I only want it to go to frame like 40. So I'm going to put the end frame to 40. I really appreciate all the advice you gave me. I will use this to help guide me on my Blender journey. I aspire to be like you and many others of the great 3D artists. Once again, thank you so much. Anytime, living under a bridge. Anytime, man. And hey, I'm happy to help you at any point of your Blender journey, brother. All right, so once you have the start and end frame, guys, when you render out, you don't want to render out directly as a video. Unless it's a quick test video, but you don't want to render it out as a video. You want to render it out usually as a PNG, as images. Now I'm going to show you the reason why. Let me go ahead and set my output folder. Guys, right here, you have your output folder. This is where all the images are going to be saved. So I'm just going to create a test, a folder on my desktop right here. And then all I'm going to do, again, we're going to leave it to PNG. He's asking how to render into a video, but we're going to leave it as a PNG. And I'm going to click on render at the top left and render animation. Now, why do we leave it as a PNG? The reason being is because, well, you guys might not see that. The reason being is because if it crashes, let's say it crashes on frame 12. Well, on frame 12, you could resume your rendering on frame 12 from the image that was crashed. If you have it as a video, you'll have to restart. Yes, you could put the two videos together, but that's just messy. But if you render it as images, if it crashes at any point, you could just start from the last render that was rendered out, or the last image. Also with images, it gives you much more control, because I'm not going to go over it now, but if you render it out as an EXR, you could have the render layers in the image, and you could composite your render even after you've rendered it out, which is awesome. So here, it's almost done rendering. What's up, obit0, 0, obit0? We're going to get into the live tutorial here. So once it's done rendering, all you're going to do is go change the timeline to the video sequencer right here. And on the video sequencer, we're going to hit Shift-A, and we're going to add an image sequence. We're going to go to the folder where we have all our images, and I'm going to hit the A key to select everything and click Add Image Strip. And now you can see that we have our image strip right here, which I'm going to put back on frame 1. We could also, in the top left, change it from sequencer to sequencer and preview, so that we could actually preview these images right here. So now what it's doing is it's taking all these images and it's putting it into a strip, and we could add sound and whatever we want. And whenever we're ready, we could change our file format. Now we're going to render it into a movie. So we're going to change our file format to FFmpeg video. And then under encoding, we're going to change it to MP4 or MPEG-4. And then we're going to click on render and render animation once again. And this time, instead of rendering it from the 3D viewport, it's going to render it from the image strip. And it's going to take those and put those into a movie. So now you can see that we have this amazing short right here, as you can see right here. So let me stop the share screen, media player. And now you can see that we have our movie right there. Pretty cool. So again, when you render out movies, you want to render it out as an image first, whether that's a PNG or EXR or whatever you want, but usually PNG if you're starting out, and then add it as an image strip. All right, let me go back to Blender here. All right, guys. Good question, though. Hopefully that helps you and anyone else. All right, guys. We are getting into the live tutorial portion now. All right, for the live tutorial, we're going to make a low poly fire. So, guys, if you've been following the shorts or the live tutorials from before, we created this low poly scene. So let me get it right here. Hopefully you guys have your low poly scene. Again, this is where we left off on Tuesday. We created the trees and the water. Be like water, my friends. If you don't have this scene, I'm going to post my .blend on blendermania3.com on the public chat right now. So you could download it. So let me post it. And anyone who wants to follow along with the live tutorial, you could download my file if you don't have your own. If you missed one of the days or whatnot. So let me post it here. And then we will start. This is going to be very simple, guys. We're going to create a low poly fire. Right here, low poly 2. All right, low poly 2, send. So again, blendermania3d.com. It's on the public chat. All right, guys, we're going to create a low poly fire. We're going to be using particle systems and a little bit of shader nodes, and it's going to be really awesome. So let's get right to it. I'm just going to select everything right here, A key, and I'm going to hit the H key just to hide everything because there's too much stuff. Once again, guys, if you want to follow along, the best place to be is on Zoom. So Zoom, I'm posting once again how to join the Zoom I'm posting it on YouTube and Instagram. I'll give people a couple seconds to get their scenes ready or to join the Zoom. Gutra says, how to use image as realistic background. I would use an HDRI, my friend. So if you go to polyhaven.com, you could download HDRIs and you could use those as realistic backgrounds. So polyhaven.com and use an HDRI, my friend. I could show you, if you're not familiar with HDRIs, I could show you quickly before we end off. But I'm going to do the tutorial first. All right, guys, so we're going to hit Shift A. And again, you could follow along even if you don't have the scene. You could do this separately. We're going to add in a circle. On this circle, in the bottom left, we're going to change it from fill type nothing. Feels like, fill. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to change it from fill type nothing to triangle fan. So triangle fan, we have all of these triangles right here. All right, very cool. We're then going to hit Shift A. We're going to add a cube. And I'm just going to move it behind the circle. Then on our circle, we're going to go to the particle settings. So particles over here. And again, I'm going to try to go slow and not too fast. In the particles, we're going to click the plus icon to add a new particle system. You can see right now, if I hit spacebar, it just does this, which is satisfying, but not what we want. So we're going to go down here, all the way down to field weights. And we're going to put the gravity to 0. So again, under field weights, put the gravity to 0. And now you can see that the balls float up. Now, obviously, it's a fire, so I kind of want it to converge in the middle like a cone. So I'm going to hit Tab to go into edit mode. And I'm going to select the center vertex. And I'm going to hit GZ and bring it down. So now you can see that we get this kind of shape, kind of like a cone shape for the particles. Pretty cool. We're almost done, guys. It really is simple. I mean, obviously for low poly is probably the simplest form of art, but it's a lot of fun because it's so simple. All right, so now instead of these balls, we want cubes. So right here, we're going to go to our particle system, and under render, we're going to change it from halo to object. So change it to object. And the instance object right here, instance object, we're going to select the cube right here. So this one is called cube, and we're going to select cube. So now you can see we got a bunch of cubes. Pretty cool. All right. So once you have that, let me know. Did anyone get lost at any point? Anyone have any questions? regarding what we did so far. And yes, we are using the default cube, although I guess this is not the default cube because we've added this one. So it's an imposter technically. All right. So now that we got that, we are going to add the materials. So for this, let's go make sure you're in material preview mode. So hit the Z key and go to material preview. We want it to be different shades of red and orange. So I'm going to select the original cube. Again, the original cube, and go to the shader editor and add a new material. So again, add a new material on the shader editor. All right. Now, out of the base color, we're going to add a color ramp. So color ramp right here. All right, very cool. So right now it's not really doing much. It's basically mixing the black and white. So it's giving us a gray color, which is kind of useless, honestly. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and out of the factor, we're going to get a separate XYZ set to Z. Now, again, the separate XYZ is going to separate out our shader or our material on the X, Y, or Z axis. Now, right here, again, we have the Z plugged in. We can't really see what it's doing yet, so let's add the next node. Out of the vector right here of the separate XYZ, we're going to get a geometry node set to position. So right there. So what it's doing here is it's basically, let me go ahead, let me mute the separate XYZ quickly. So right here, you can see that it's giving us this color ramp based on the position of where our particles are. So you can see right here, the particles that are in this position are black, and the ones that are over here are white, and it's giving us this color ramp based on the position of this geometry or our particles. Now, right here, you can see that the gradient is diagonal, and that's why we have the separate XYZ in between, so that it's only going on the Z. So as you can see right here, if I pause it, we now have this gradient going on the Z axis right here. So now all we got to do is change this color ramp. We're going to change this to whatever kind of fire colors we want. So I'm going to change that to maybe a reddish color, this one to a yellowish one. And you could also control left click to add a new color stop and change it like so. Then lastly, under the emission, we want to plug this color ramp into the color of the emission so that the colors that it's emitting is going to be the same colors as the cubes. And then we're just going to increase the strength of this to whatever we want. So now we have a fire, a low poly fire. And if we go to rendered viewport shading mode right here, and in Eevee, if you turn on bloom under the render properties, turn on bloom, you can see you get this really cool little effect and look right here for a low poly fire. Pretty cool. Now in the particle settings, I'm going to change the end frame to 250 so that it doesn't just die off all of a sudden. And there we go. Now, of course, you could add some logs around this. So let's do that very, very quickly. Again, this is going to be super, super fast and super sweet. We're going to do it with Shift R, which allows for us to repeat. How do you mute a node, Phil asks. So to mute a node, just select it and hit the M key. M as in mute. So hit the M key to mute a node. Very handy shortcut, guys. M key will mute a node. So you're basically able to see how it looks like with it and without it. All right. So now I'm just going to add logs around this. Again, this is going to be super simple and fast. So I'm just going to add a cylinder right here. In edit mode, I'm going to scale it down. RX 90. GY, bring it over. And SY, scale it up. And maybe scale it down a little bit. And like that. So basically, I have one log right here. And then I'm going to go into edit mode. I'm going to change my pivot point to the 3D cursor. And here, I'm going to hit Shift D to duplicate. And then if I hit R, it's going to rotate around the 3D cursor. So I'm going to hit R and then Z to rotate it around the Z 3D cursor. And I'm going to click it right here. And then if I hit Shift R, it will just repeat that last action. And I could repeat it all the way around until it goes all the way around the fire. And now we have some logs. Of course, I could scale them down a little bit because they are ridiculously big. I could also hit Alt-S to kind of fatten them up a little bit. And there we go. And then I'm just going to add a brown color or material to this for the wood. And there we go, guys. We have our low poly fire. Hello, Nandani. How are you? What's up, Yash? All right. Hi, good morning, Growl. Yash says, what's up, Yash? What's up, brother? Does anyone have any questions on any of that? Again, any question? There are no stupid questions. So now if I hit Alt-H to unhide everything, you can see we got our low poly fire. I could place it in the scene. So maybe I'm going to position it maybe over here next to the lake over here. And now we got our fire. This is definitely a fire hazard, seeing how many trees there are. There you go. All right. If you want to, you could do the same thing where the trees get deleted based on the proximity of the fire, just like we did for the lakes. But again, you could do that. You could do that yourself. Again, it's the same exact kind of setup. I'm going to move it over here. There's more space. And there you go, guys. That is the low poly fire. If you missed anything, by the way, this is the short for today. No, this was the short for yesterday. Excuse me. Making the low poly fire. Does anyone have any questions regarding any of that? Going once, going twice. Sold. All right, I guess no one has questions. Awesome, except Phil. I missed it a little bit, Yash says. I want to see the particle system geometry node because I'm busy from some days. Yash, this is the short for yesterday. So if you missed anything, you could watch the short, but this is not geometry nodes. This is 100% particle system. So basically, I have a circle right here with a particle system, and it's just emitting a cube, and the gravity is off. If you want to take a look at the dot blend, or if anyone wants the dot blend, I'm going to post it on blendermania3d.com once again. So if anyone wants to take a look at it, and Yash, if you want to take a look at it, blendermania3d.com. I'm going to post it right now. But yeah, it's just it's a particle system for the fire this time. No geometry nodes. All right. Well, guys, that is it for tonight's live stream then. I will look tomorrow for sure, man. Again, the blend is on blendermania3d.com in the public chat. Anyone have any last questions regarding the tutorial? Guys, we do this every weeknight. Every weeknight we have a live. Same time. Every weeknight. I'm going to answer your question quickly. Gautam. Yes. Thank you so much. Is it recorded? Yes, the recording is going to be on my YouTube. If anyone wants to watch the recording or watch over something, it will be on my YouTube. Just go to my YouTube. It's Blender Mania on YouTube and go to the lives. Thank you for everything. I can't stay waiting for a movie to start. Dude, if you're at the movies, man, tell them to put it on hold. This is important information. No, I'm kidding. Enjoy the movie, my friend. What movie are you watching? Thank you so much once more. Anytime, Acer. I'm going to answer Gutam's question quickly about using an image as a realistic background, and then we're going to end off. How to set the different camera angles in one. All right, so let me answer those two questions. Thank you, Grout. So real me. Are you talking about like how to have different camera angles in your animation? Is that what you mean? So having different camera angles, you could use. Let me first get to Gutam's question, and then I'll show you that quickly, and then we'll end off. So Gutam's, and sorry if I butcher your name, but Gutam's question was how to use the image as a realistic background. So guys, there's a great site called polyhaven.com. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it, but let me go to it. Polyhaven.com. Let me share my screen again. Where is my Zoom? Zoom, share screen, Polyhaven. So guys, polyhaven.com. Again, his question is how to use image as a realistic background. You could go to HDRIs right here. And right here, you could download any HDRI. I'm just going to download the first one I see, this one right here, Symmetrical Garden. And I'm going to download it. So just download it. And then back in Blender, let me share my Blender screen again. Blender. Right here, all I'm going to do, go to the world settings, right here, the world settings. Click on color and change it to environment texture. Let me also go to material preview so that we could actually see what's happening. And right here, actually, I think I need to be in rendered viewport shading mode. So yeah, let me go to render viewport shading mode. I'm going to click on open, and I'm going to open that EXR that I downloaded. So right here, Symmetrical Garden. And now you have a realistic image as a background, as you can see right there. So hopefully that answers your question, Gutam. Let me know. Again, you just download an HDRI. HDRI stands for High Dynamic Range Imagery. It's basically an image that wraps around in 360 degrees. And then you go to the World tab in your properties. You change it to Environment Texture, and you open that image. All right. Last thing. Well, I don't have that HDRI. Phil collects all the HDRIs. Last question I'm going to get to. Realme asks how to set the different camera angles in one. All right, guys, I'm going to show you how to do camera markers. So this is pretty cool. This allows for you to set different cameras and different markers for cameras, basically. So let's say we have two cameras. We have this one right here. And I'm just going to leave it like that. And now I'm going to add another camera. So right here, I'm going to add another camera. Where's the camera? There it is. And to get to this camera, I'm going to hit Control Numpad 0, which is going to go to this camera. I'm then just going to position this camera. I'm going to position it a little bit differently. Maybe I'm going to position it from like a top view. Okay, let me redo that. I'm going to position it from like a top-down view. So we have this camera right here, and then this second one right here. So again, if you want to see through a particular camera, you select it, and Control Numpad 0 will make you see through that camera. Now, let's say I play the animation, and let's say at frame 40, I want it to go from this camera to the other camera. Well, I could just select the other camera, and let me go to it. And right here on frame 40 with this camera selected, with my mouse hovered over the timeline, I'm going to hit the M key. You can see it adds what's called a marker. It's basically like a keyframe. I honestly don't know why they didn't just name it keyframe, but it's a marker. And now that we have this marker, we want to bind the camera to it. So we could go to marker. Just above the timeline, there's an option that says marker, and it says bind camera to marker right here. So now you can see that it changes the icon from a kind of arrow to a camera because the camera is now bound to the marker. Now let's see if this works because sometimes I get issues with this. So let me see. Yeah, you can see it's already switching to it. So that's because I didn't create a marker for the previous camera. So let's say, let me just start with this camera right here, and then I'll go to the other camera. So on the other camera, I'm going to add another marker and bind this camera to that marker. So now you can see that, right here. There we go. When I play it, it goes from this camera, and then it's going to go to the other camera. So again, if you want to switch cameras, you just select a camera, hit the M key to create a marker, and then go to marker, bind your camera to that marker. Wherever that marker is, it's going to then switch to a different camera. So there you go. All right, guys. That is pretty much it. We're going to end off here. We are at the top of the hour. By the way, guys, tomorrow we have another live, same time, same place. So if anyone has any questions after this, again, BlenderMania3D.com. That is the official site for the community. I'm going to post it here. That's where you could get all the times as well. We have contests there and the whole community live chat forum. You could post on there, etc. All that good stuff. So with that, guys, we'll see everyone tomorrow. It's good to have you all. Good to see you guys. And it was fun. Did you change the time? No, we had daylight savings like about 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago. So that might be the time change that you noticed. But it's still at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I didn't change the time. The government did. Grouse says goodbye. So guys, same time, same place tomorrow for live because it's gone 2 hours ahead. No, it's still at 6 p.m. PST. It's weird that it's 2 hours difference, but yeah, it's still at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But yeah. All right, guys, we'll see everyone tomorrow. Same time, same place. I don't know what happened, Yash says. Me neither, man. It's some of that timey-wimey stuff, you know? All right, see you everyone on BlenderMania3.com. Ciao for now. Au revoir. Again, if you want to message me, share your work, etc., BlenderMania3.com. We'll see everyone tomorrow. See you guys. Ciao.